Welcome, everyone, to the essence of extraordinary, how to create your extraordinary life by accessing your soul's wisdom and power. Thank you for being here. I am Michelle Lee, and I am your host today. And I am so deeply honored and appreciative to have these three incredible women here today. And I'm going to introduce each one of them. I am Michelle Lee, as I said, and I'm a women's empowerment coach and spiritual mentor for going over 2 decades now. So, loving this extraordinary work we get to do. So as I introduce, I'm going to read everyone's bio. When I say your name, wave, but probably everyone can see your name too. But so we know who we've got here. We've got first Anna Kowalska. Anna is a spiritual women entrepreneurs. She guides spiritual women entrepreneurs in creating their success in alignment with divine purpose and prosperity. That's why we have her here. Yes, after creating traditional success in life and having it disappear for the third time, that is so usual, Anna. Anna decided to put all of her focus and energy into discovering and living her soul purpose, co-creating her success with the source. Along the way, she immersed herself in numerous spiritual, metaphysical, mind, and body modalities, bringing it all together to activate and unite the creators of the earth. Amazing. Anna is devoted to creating a world of harmony, unity, purpose, and prosperity within and without for all of life through New Earth leaders. Thank you, Anna, for being here. Yay!
My pleasure, Michelle. I'm really excited for this.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Me too. Me too. So extraordinary. I absolutely love the word because it's extraordinary. And I have never in my entire life wanted an ordinary life. And I imagine you're all the same. And so I want to dive into extraordinary. You know, I think for everyone, I think coming out of our culture and awakening into a new earth, heaven on earth, and living from our soul is that we're breaking out of the structure of what has been defined for us in the past. And so everybody's extraordinary, their idea of extraordinary is different. So I would love to hear from each and every one of you. What drove you? I mean, you all have, well, Anna and Kimberly, for sure, you came from a traditional background and you chose extraordinary. So what created, anyone who can jump in, what is your idea of extraordinary and what pulled you to that?
This is so great, Michelle, because I was just thinking in the moment that when you asked the question, what led me to live the life that I'm living that I consider extraordinary and constantly pursuing the next level of it. I grew up in a communist country, which is a definition of ordinary, plain vanilla, everybody the same, right? Wow. So I already had like nothing to lose. I became a multimillionaire when I came to America very, very quickly in my 20s. So I got a taste of what life could be like when anything is possible and everything is available to you. And in that, what was missing was my soul, even though I had no language for it. And it opened up a path for me that I think I knew as a little girl there was something more than just the life of, you know, pay the bills, do the job, get married, have children, right? Like I knew there was more to life than that somehow, but I didn't know that it would take connection to divine, connection to source, and living based on some bigger idea than having a big house, many cars, dogs, right? Lots of money. There was something richer than what I was taught the rich was. And that's what guides me now into, does everything that I create really inspire me, right? Like I love, Michelle said, light me up. Like, what does that even mean to me, right? It doesn't have to look the same way to everybody, but what does it look like to me? And I still love having a lot of money and I still love great things. But unless there is substance underneath it, connection to something bigger, right? My soul, that's what is constantly pulling me forward to living more and more extraordinary experience, and not just living it, but living it as an example of possibility for others who may be where I was 10, 20 years ago. So extraordinary is anything but where I grew up.
Wow. Wow. I love that, you mentioned that you came to America and you made a lot of money right away. And yet that still wasn't extraordinary. Right? So I love that you make that distinction, because so many people put the money between them and their ideal life. And you got that very quickly. And I think everyone on the panel can kind of say, oh, well, I got the money and that still wasn't extraordinary.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So it's about being lit up.
Yes. And money is great. I teach about prosperity because I love, and I think we all should have a ton of money to do our greatest work in the world.
Absolutely. Agreed. I'm not dissing money, but it's not all of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. What I've seen from all of you is that you are walking your talk, and that's so important. I want to take a pause for a moment and welcome all of our participants, whether you're live or you're catching this on replay. We're so excited to have you here. And just so you know that you're going to get to experience a process from all of us today. So not only are you going to hear the deep dive conversation, but you also get to experience what we do in our own lives to live, to align with extraordinary. So let's deep dive some more into, because what I heard was that so much of your success, and I want everyone to speak into this, came with a sacrifice.
What was the sacrifice?
Yeah. So what was it? You had great success. So
yeah.
How did you leave that?
Sacrifice was going against the grain. So coming from, we came from Poland to America, and I came in a tribe with my parents and my brother. We were a tribe, and there was a tribe that believed, so outside of that nuclear family, there was my extended family, and a whole tribe believed a certain lifestyle, and I was not going to pursue it. So the sacrifice, it was monetary, but for me, for sure, but it was more than that. It was going against the grain, not going with the prescribed way the life should be, but trying something that I didn't see people around me do. I wasn't around entrepreneurs. I wasn't around people who paved their own way. Even though my parents came to America, so they kind of did pave their own way, but it appeared to me differently. Like, I am going to be doing something that I don't know anybody else who is doing it. I can't ask for advice or lean into somebody who might know. I'm going into a great unknown. And it may cost me love of the people around me. Luckily it didn't. I am sort of a black sheep in my family, but they still love me. So it was really leaving what I built up until then and choosing something different, was choosing what was leaving behind comfort, safety, what I knew. And I know a lot of people right now, maybe right now, even you who's watching us, is facing this, something. You are getting the ping, right? Kimberly just talked about the ping. You are getting the ping, and it's scary because you don't know what you are being pinged towards. Maybe you just I bet you that's what happened with you, Kimberly, too, right? You just know you have to leave, but you don't know what you're moving towards. And all you know is that it's going to cost you something, but you don't know what the reward is, right? Yeah, and I know a lot of people are right now in that space, as we are massively awakening. We are all in that space of, and even us, right? So I know for me right now, I am being pinged again. Okay, this space you've been in, girl, you got to go to the next level. And what does it look like? I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that there is like a universal ping happening right now, right? We're
Yes.
being taken to that next level.
Yes.
That next level, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let's talk about that ping. And I would love to hear from each of you what that feels like for you, because it can be very different. I'm sure our audience is dying to know, like, tell me what the ping feels like so I don't get it confused. Anna, what are your pings like?
Yeah, very much like Michelle just described. It's a feeling in my body. So I'm going to say something Kasia said in the message in the messenger. I'm waiting for my ping. I'm ready. I truly believe that if you are in this space, you already got your ping. You just talked yourself out of it 20 times over. So this is my truth to everybody who's watching and you're hoping and praying. Just listen, right? And sometimes it's a really big knowing, like my whole body, just like Michelle said, my whole body knows it. Sometimes it's like, oh, this sounds interesting. All right, let me move in that direction and so for now, just let me see, right? And then stay committed to it. Sometimes I get redirected. Sometimes, I keep moving and halfway through, I'm like, oh, I'm here. So I could jump parallel to the other place where I was maybe supposed to be, no such thing, but I needed to learn this. And now I jump. I call it a mountain, right? So you climb up the wrong mountain or the wrong ladder and wrong, incorrect, whatever you want to call it. No such thing, because you always learn something. But let's say you are climbing the ladder you're not meant to, based on your soul design, based on your intention before you incarnate in this body. If you're climbing and climbing, you're learning so much that when you decide to really hop over on the right mountain, the right ladder, you can use everything you just learned, and you don't have to start from scratch. You can literally make this move over when you trust that you already had the ping. You already know, just keep moving forward. And then the next step shows up. You might have to change the ladders again, or the mountains. I like using the mountains for some reason, because I live in Colorado and I like to hike. But just listen along the way. I am in this amazing, juicy place where I'm playing with my business. I'm doing things that 2-3 years ago, based on everything I was being taught to do, even in this space, right?
Yes.
I would be like, oh, this is a really risky move. Like, I'm going to lose everything. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to give it a try, because my mind just said it's a really risky move. I'm gonna try it. And it's been a tremendous fun, and I'm learning all new things about myself more than anything. So the pings are always there. Follow, we're already getting them. Universe, source, divine wants it through us more than we want it, because we are afraid. The energy wants the experience through us. So if you truly are ready, trust that you already are getting a ping, however it's coming to you, whether it's a push, something goes away, whether it's a whole body yes, whether it's just a little exciting, right? Just know that it wants it through you. It, divine, universe, source, God, whatever you call it, wants it through you even more than you want it for yourself.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that. Looks like we have a question. I'm going to check it out. Have to put my glasses on for this. Paulette asks, Ari Money, want to work with a coach, fee, although not unreasonable for the value of the coach. The message is step into it and the money will come. I don't understand how it works if there is truly no money at all, due to a loss of all assets to put down deposit, etc. There just isn't the money. Thank you for so much wisdom. Who wants to take that?
So I call money our last frontier, our final frontier in our evolution, because money is showing us the deepest wounds, the deepest patterns, the deepest programming, which is why Mary, I love this question. So Mary said, and if you trust, quote unquote, right there, I already know you don't, love you. I already know you don't trust. And you sign up and then money doesn't come. Do you say it's okay, you just don't have to pay me? No, Mary. So I came from I lived in a communist country. You guys have to get that. There is nothing more 3D than living in a country where it's suppression and there isn't even an opportunity to make more than the government tells you how much you'll make. Like, that's how I grew up, right? So this whole idea of money is energy and it's just everywhere, I thought it was the biggest crock of baloney for the longest time. I'm like, you can believe that. It doesn't work for me, okay? I had to work very hard. Right? Yes, I get it. Your experience does not mean mine will be the same. Absolutely. No, we each have our own experiences. What I'm saying is I was there. I knew exactly, and my teachers and my coaches have told me, you just have to make a decision. I'm like, I did decide, but money didn't show up. No, you didn't decide. I'm like, okay, well, you fired. Until I finally got it. So have patience with this because it really does work. It really works. And where we are right now as humanity is we are overcoming one of the most oppressive patterns we have been embedded with for centuries. Yes. Money has been embedded as one of the most imprisoning ideas. A whole masculine energy, a whole hurt masculine is another topic about it. And I know every single one of us have experience on this panel that when we really did trust, when we really did believe, it did show up. And then learning, who did I get to be in a moment when it showed up? What did my trust look like in that moment so I can replicate it? So it's not, it happened once. Okay, great, miracle. No, it's not. Something happened for you in that moment. Something shifted that had the energy manifest, like Kimberly said, literally plucked in from the thin air and became money. That's how manifestation works with everything. But who were you? What did you let go of? What did you give up? Did you give up being right about it not showing up? Did you give up being right that you don't deserve it in that moment? And it showed up. Now you can keep doing it over and over and get to the next level, next level, next level. It does work. And it does take a decision that it's going to show up. So trust, not in quotations, right? Because I used to do that too. I trusted, I believe it. I decided. But there was a huge part of me in my subconscious that said, I'm already going to prepare for it to not work. Then what? And if it doesn't work, then what? Then I didn't trust it. And that's the biggest work we right now are doing as spiritual, awakened human beings on planet Earth. That's the biggest work we get to do. Trust the most tangible, pain-infused tool that was never meant to be that. And that actually we do need to live on this planet Earth. We need money. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in living on government support. Nothing wrong with it if that's what you choose. But I know a lot of people are trying to get out of it right now because they know what's coming. They know it, right? We are sovereign creators. We don't need to be supported by anything else. And that's the biggest work. Can you tell I'm really passionate about it?
No.
That's the work. And people get pissed at me and I'm like, that's okay. But this is the work we get to do. And sometimes you really have to go through the pain of, okay, it didn't show up and now I'm ashamed. What story's coming up? What am I going to heal right now? And I'm going to try it again because I know I want to get through it no matter what until I get there.
I love this. I love the passion, everyone. And I love these questions because like you said, and we can come back to these too. I will read these comments. There is number one, once you make a decision, when you make a decision, what is that quote? When you decide, the universe collaborates on your behalf. Mm-hmm. And here's the deal. You are the universe. This comment is when I make the decision and the money doesn't come, is putting the money outside of you. Mm-hmm. Right? We are the money. When you make the decision, you're going, I am worthy. I am worthy. I'm saying yes to this. And what I'm hearing you all say too, and I would like just to add to that, is that when you say yes to something that it appears that you don't currently have the money for, you are saying yes to who you are becoming, right? You're saying yes to who you want to be instead of, I call it being a bitch to circumstance, right? Let's just be clear about it. You're a bitch to circumstance. I look at my bank account and my bank account makes my decisions. I look at my husband and my husband makes my decisions, or I look at my kids and they make my decisions, instead of saying yes to expansion, yes to what's next. Yeah, I said yes to my business as a single mom with 3 kids, right? It made no sense at all. It made no sense at all. It just meant Michelle. And then when I had to go get a job, which, was my dark night of the soul, making, at the time, minimum wage was $7 an hour. I was making $7 an hour with kids at home. Seriously, to get by, I had to go back on welfare for a while. It was like shame, right? So much shame. But I got a tax return because I went and got that job. I got a tax return, a refund of $4,000. And I decided, I could live on that for 4 months and rebuild my business. Was that logical? Was it smart by mainstream? What? You've got 3 kids at home. You're going to live on $1,000 a month. But that's what I did. And everyone, my head was like, can I do this? I couldn't not do it. Right. And it was, of course, I rebuilt my business. Right. And now that is only a small fraction of what it takes for me to, to live. I could absolutely go back to living on that. Right. Because the money isn't the money isn't the purpose. I would like to speak a little more into that because we're talking about the essence of extraordinary, and extraordinary, it isn't just around money, right? I mean, we can get stuck on that. And so let's talk about the extraordinary health, extraordinary mental health. Who would like to jump in on that?
I can. For sure. So I will speak to it more because actually where we're going is perfect and I won't speak to my process yet, but I can definitely speak deeper into it later on. So 100% our complete extraordinary life must include our mental health, great food, take care of our physical body, exercise, relationships. One of the first steps in my journey was becoming a holistic health coach. I didn't understand why, but I was led to a school that I was learning how to eat because it was a nutrition school. And the first thing that we learn is the food we eat is a secondary food, is a secondary nutrition. Everything else, the work you do, the people you are around, where you live, what you do in your spare time, how you sleep, the kind of care you have, all of that, your thoughts, your hobbies, all of that is your primary nutrition. What you actually put on your plate is secondary, because you can eat the healthiest food, and if you're miserable in your life, you will still be sick. And I got there because my body was failing. And I was 29 when I started to having hormonal issues. I started becoming aware of hormonal issues. And I know now because it led me on a path of learning about masculine and feminine and my relationship in my body. Somehow it took me on a path of money as well. But all of that was laced with disconnection from myself, not asking for what I wanted because I couldn't. Growing up in communist country, you don't ask for what you want. You are neutered from your desire. It's the way you survive, right? It was awful to say, but it's just how it showed up. Somebody needed to hear it that way. I never used that word. Oh, that's fun.
I think it's perfect.
Right? It just, this audience, there is something in this audience that is desiring fire. There is like pure fire in this audience. I don't know if the rest of you are feeling it, but it's just like, it's coming. I mean, my whole neck is like lit up on fire, if you can tell. It's like, yeah, it's you, Kim. Great, keep bringing it because we need that fire. And it is fire in all areas of our life, really being completely whole and complete. And money just is a part of it because we can't have everything else we want without the tool that brings us everything, which is money. Yeah. It's you too, Kasha, and you, Kathleen. You're all fire.
So I wanted to go in to, hopefully everyone feels refreshed. At least the bladder feels empty. All right. So I had a few questions that came through on the emails that I sent out. So I wanted to go into a couple of them anyway. And one question that came through is, how did you move past your doubts and fears? We talked about taking action on the ping, and we talked about there being doubts and fears, but how did you move past those?
One of my mentors says there are only two fears we're born with. It's fear of, right? Michelle heard it too. Everything else is just something we've been taught. So even taking a risk, right? Taking a risk on starting your business, making a promise. I think that's such a big one, Kimberly, that you just spoke to. Promising that you will deliver something, but not believing that you can. You will not know until you do. And sometimes you may have to course correct along the way. Sometimes it may take you a little longer. I mean, there were times in my business where I added on things for my clients because I said, you know what, you really need, there is one more piece that I would love to lead you through, because everybody's on different journey. There is no formula, something I'll be speaking to. There is no formula, right? Everybody's on their own journey, their own process. So trusting, right? Here it comes. That you are who you need to be at every single step. All the fears, all the doubt is really just taught in us. It was usually taught by well-meaning people like our parents, our caretakers, who taught us to be afraid of strangers and be afraid of cars and be afraid of, tall buildings. And for some people, it's dogs too, right? Be afraid of an empty bank account, be afraid of breaking a promise, like saying you're going to pay for something when you don't have the money in your hand. All of that comes from somebody who really meant well for us most of the time. And it's just the tape that's been recorded in our subconscious that's just on playing over and over. And I learned that when I take a step, even when I feel the fear, right? Even when I feel the fear, I take a step. And I know you probably have heard, all of us have heard this, whatever you fear the most, step into it. And all of a sudden the doubt and the fear disappears. It's going to come right back. It always does. For me, at least. I don't know what the magic trick is, but my fear and my doubt has never gone away. Sorry, my mailman is here with some information and my dog has to tell me. He agrees too. So it's knowing that it's not, for me, it's knowing it's never going to go away. Helps me stand in it and move through it. That's really all it is. And knowing that whatever I face, I will either know what to do, who to be, or I will find somebody who knows what to do to help me solve that problem.
Another question that came through is, how do you stay motivated to create your extraordinary life? So that's a loaded question with a little bit of an assumption. So I'm just going to let whoever wants to go first with that one. How do you stay motivated? Is motivation a challenge when you're living your extraordinary life?
We're going to be real. Motivation is a problem. I don't care what anybody says, it's a problem. For me, okay? But it's no longer about motivation, it's about commitment. When I was beginning and kind of dipping my toe, I had to be motivated. But when I committed to, and I'll speak about, when I committed to my work and divine appointments, to what Kimberly spoke a little bit ago, are the souls that I committed to serve this lifetime. When I started to connect with that, all of a sudden, I don't have to be motivated. Now, I got my period this morning. I didn't want to be, I was in training for 4 hours before I got here. I had 5-minute break and I jumped in here. And I said, really, did I say yes to a 3-hour experience? What was I thinking? Let me find my motivation. It wasn't like that. It was a commitment. I gave my word that's in alignment with the vision where I'm going. And to what you both are already saying, speaking to the same point, when you commit to be on your journey, in your vision, to living extraordinary life, whatever that is for you, it's not about being motivated. It's about staying on course, and you start giving your word to people around you, whether it's your client or your employee or your team member or your family member. You're giving your word to something outside of you, to somebody outside of you. All of a sudden, that's what draws the motivation, if you want to call it motivation, to keep moving you forward. It's your commitment. That's what works for me. I have people that I've committed to that are opening my emails on regular basis, you bet your bottom dollar that no matter what, that email is going to go out every Monday at 6 a.m. because I committed. It's one thing that I do on regular basis, right? It's this, it's this commitment to the people that we are here to be in community with and of service to. Whether it's my family, loved ones, clients, my tribe, whatever it is, that's what keeps me motivated. But it is a problem, just so you know. I don't always wanna.
True. I love that. You know, I say that living my extraordinary life comes from inspiration. I allow for inspiration. Mm-hmm. And motivation. I think I'm responsible for both my motivation and my inspiration. And just as Michelle said, what is also, she's listening, right? Listening. Other people inspire the hell out of me, mm-hmm. right? I mean, people and their potential and the things that people are doing these days, you know, I turn something on and that gets me inspired. I don't sit around waiting for motivation or waiting for inspiration. I have come to get a little softer around the commitments. I find I don't want a lot of commitments. I don't want, now that I've reduced my work time to 3 half days a week, right? I want fewer commitments and more freedom. And that's what motivates me, right? Like my life is so balanced that I don't feel that, and everybody's different. This is perfect for, you know, how Anna does it, how Kimberly does it, how Michelle does it. That's why I wanted to bring us all together. It's like everybody has a certain rhythm, right? And it's finding what works for you. And yes, it's very much a balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. You know, I send an email out every week at 6 a.m. and that is my commitment. That is very masculine. And then others.
Oh no, sorry. Did I just say that?
No, they're both. I mean, that's a very masculine, and we have to balance the divine feminine and the divine masculine, right? That's what makes a business work. If I'm just all flowy, if I'm just all wave, right? Nothing's going to happen. I have to have the structure as well. Just like I created a structure for this, right? For this event. And inside that structure, we're flowing. So it's the balance of both, and everyone has their own balance. Anna, like you said before, like there's no template for everybody. There's a lot of people, a lot of different coaches out there that they have a template, right? And some templates work, but that works for a lot of people, but doesn't work for everybody, or works for a few people and doesn't work for everybody. So it's just that balance of motivation, inspiration, and finding your own rhythm that makes it really, really great.
Yeah. And your own rhythm at the time and the season you are in.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. So that takes us into your process, Anna. You've got the floor.
No, I want to go into the whole conversation about masculine and feminine because I think we get to, but I want.
We can talk more about it after this.
I want, just because there is, I think we get to start redefining what we talk about, how we talk about masculine and feminine. I don't think it's just about flow or structure, definitely, but that's not what I plan to talk about. So I want. Okay. So what I want to talk about is actually a combination of what we've already been talking about. It's a sacred success, what I call a sacred success. And there are 3 components to it, which is power, who you are, people, who you serve, and prosperity, what you allow yourself to live as a result of it. So it was a journey for me, as I shared before, to discover what does life look like when I had everything tangibly that I could have asked for, And the life felt like it was missing something really important in it. And then I swung into the opposite direction, where for a year, I was praying and meditating for a jar of gold to show up in my closet. So I did that for a whole entire year. I had a closet that opened up like this, and I would visualize every single day, and I would sit there and I'm like, I know a day will come when I will open this closet. It'll be a pot of gold, literally. And I imagined little gold bars, you know, like gold bars, but small. They fit in a little pot. And I'm like, well, they say it's going to work, right? So that's what I'm going to play with. And started running out of money. It was a year. I started running out of money. I said, well, okay, that didn't work. So what else am I going to do? And I discovered a process, and that process had to do with discovering who I am first. So for me, everything began with who am I? Who am I? And that began with a session of scientific hand analysis. So somebody led me onto having my hands analyzed, and it has nothing to do with fortune telling, because I did that too. It's about learning who I am, not based on what the society told me or what conditioning told me, what my tribe told me, but based on what I was born for. So what I want you to do right now is, you can keep your eyes open or closed. I will keep speaking. There is a part of you that had an agenda, a reason, a purpose for birthing into a physical body. It's a part of oneness, wholeness, whatever you want to call it. It was a part of you that knew why you would be born at this time on this planet into the situations, people, environment that you are born into. That part is whole and complete, equipped with everything you would need this lifetime, equipped with all the money, love, joy, and expression that you will ever need. But that part of you also wanted to learn, what is it like? What is it like to get stronger and bigger? Not to overpower somebody, but to make bigger impact in the world. And that part of you has made agreements with other souls, just like you. That part of you made agreements. Hey, we'll come together and we're going to have certain experiences, and you will teach me some things. And sometimes I won't like you for that. And I will teach you some things, and sometimes I won't like myself for that. And through those experiences, someday I will learn how strong I really am, how beautiful I really am, how unique I really am, and how powerful and resourced I really am. You gave yourself a purpose, but a purpose isn't a thing that you came here to do. It isn't wrapped up in a beautiful bow that you can unwrap that comes with instructions. Your purpose is who you came here to be. Life force that flows through you has a certain frequency that's very unique to you. And when it comes through your beautiful vessel, your temple, it molds into who you are, and through you expresses itself out into the world. And it serves like a beacon to all those you made those commitments with, all those agreements with. Remember that part of you now. Trusting that everything you gave yourself at that moment is everything you need this lifetime. And I don't mean physical things. I mean your gifts, your skills, your wounds, your challenges, your lessons. Take a deep breath. You can open your eyes if you had them closed. When I had my hands analyzed, the woman who did the analysis, it's actually based on science because it's repeatable and can be teachable. I was taught the process. The woman that did my analysis, yeah, you're familiar with Michelle. The woman who did the analysis said some things to me, and it's not about my past or my future. It was about how I showed up in the world, except I wasn't showing up that way yet. There were memories in me of who I am. I literally used to walk around Manhattan and say, I'm an artist, but I don't know what kind. I was not a painter. I was not a trained dancer, although I am a painter and a dancer now. I was some kind of an artist, but I didn't know what kind. Guess what part of my expression is, kind of my purpose is? Part of my purpose is to be on a stage in front of people, fully self-expressed, right? But I didn't understand what to do with that. And there were many different things that she said. I'm like, yeah, I'm a healer. I don't know what it means because I never went to medical school, right? I was already a health coach, but that's not what she meant. I wasn't around people who were creative or healers. There were, again, I grew up in a communist country. When I came to America and got into real estate, tangible, right? I got into finance and real estate and eventually into .com sector. But all of that was very tangible. I had no experience or exposure to non-physical, other than my Catholic wounds. So as soon as somebody said God, my whole body shivered because God was a bad guy in the sky that punished me many times in life. So I had to heal that. But when this woman told me certain things about myself, all of a sudden it awakened my memory. And when this memory was awakened, I realized that there were parts of me that I never got to express because I was never in the right environment for that. The environment for me wasn't created or cultivated for me to be who I truly came here to be. And that's when my journey began to start discovering, who am I? Now, the blueprint, which is what I use with my clients now, I use scientific analysis, human design, and gene keys, and I mix them together. And just like Kimberly said, she can see businesses, I see people. I see people with their strands of the challenges that they chose this lifetime, because in hand analysis, you actually learn not just who you came here to be, as an expression of your purpose, you also learned what is it that you're going to learn about yourself through a series of challenges. And when I see that and you tell me what your childhood was like, I can tell you exactly why you chose your mother, why you chose your father, why your sister was your sister. I can tell you why your boyfriend at 17 did what he did, because there is a lesson throughout it all that you came to learn. And then I learned all those things. Great. I keep learning them and experiencing them. But then I said, okay, well, what do I do with that in my life to make money? Because I knew I was here to serve. I read a book that was channeled by a soul post-lifetime right after it died. And that soul expressed that right after it died, it was taken to a village where everybody worked because it's the highest expression of who we are. And I'm like, I don't want to work. I don't want to work. Why? Because I didn't like what I did. And I didn't like what my life looked like when I worked doing what I didn't want to do. So all of a sudden I said, well, what if I like what I do? Then what? And what happened was, I'm looking like, I'm looking through the chat. I'll look at it in a moment. When I take a break, I just want to go with my flow. What I discovered through that is the inner knowing that we came here to contribute to each other. We didn't come here to be selfishly engulfed in our own gifts and be, sitting on our high horse, learning things we never share. We came here to contribute. We came here to be something for each other, and not out of servitude, like Michelle spoke to so beautifully, right? Where you give of each other, of yourself without receiving anything back, or you charge very little, or you give it away for free, or you are in an environment that's unhealthy, like Michelle and Kimberly and I spoke to. You came here to serve for sure, but you have to serve in an environment that serves you, being who you truly are. And that's when I came up with I downloaded, now I know it's a download, the idea of divine appointments. There are people who are waiting to be served by you in a particular way with your gift at the particular time. So if you're starting your business and you can't feel like you will serve fully the people who you are here to serve, the people you are here to serve as a beginner are exactly the people who need to learn from you. I can tell you right now, if I speak to Tony Robbins, he is way above me in where I want to go as far as a business owner, right? As far as somebody who speaks to millions of people, I'm not there. So whatever he's teaching is not going to sink into my being as much as from somebody who's just maybe a little bit above me, the level. And when I say above me, I mean ahead of me, has a little bit more experience. So the people you came here to serve, if you're just beginning your journey, are the people who need to learn from somebody who's just beginning their journey. And it keeps evolving, and your purpose keeps evolving with you, and the people you serve keep evolving with who you are at all levels. So that was the second piece that I learned, which is divine appointments, people I have at the soul level agreed to serve. That's one of my motivations. I know people are waiting to be served by me, so I will wake up in the morning and write that email. And it's very feminine to me because for me, so this is not to like contradict, but to me, it comes from a very loving, cherishing place. I know that it cherishes people and it nourishes them, so I'm going to do it, right? And then the third piece came. All of that is great, but where is the life that I want to live? How does it come back to me? And this is where it came back to money, the third piece, which is prosperity. In all ways of life, but mostly expressed through money. Because without money, I cannot be fully who I am. Why? Because without money, I can't hire the coaches. Just like Michelle, since 2008, I have had always at least one coach, always at least one coach, because I don't want to go it alone. Because I know go it alone, I get stuck in my head. And my head has so many stories to tell that don't serve me. And my head never reminds me who I am at the soul level. My head always reminds me who I am as a little girl growing up in a communist Poland, learning how not to be who I am. So I learned to redefine the purpose, and the purpose being who I am, not what I do. And from that, the clarity of what I do comes, because I learned the wounds that I came here, right, to experience my strength from. And just like Kimberly spoke to, those wounds and my lesson is the indicator of what I came here to serve. Now, it may look different. For some people, the same wounding may lead them in a very different direction, and their gift looks different, right? And then a second piece was learning that there are people waiting for you to serve, and owning that you have made commitments to serve them. And a third piece is owning the value and the worth of what it is that you are contributing. There is a life force flowing through you that has zero agenda of its own, and it only fulfills on your agenda. And the more you value the life force that's flowing through you, the more it will go out into the world, expanding your gift and working as a source of expansion for others, and then coming back to you in more. And it's your job to receive it. That means you have to heal and clean anything you have about receiving money, heal and clean anything you have about living an opulent life, heal and clean anything you have about charging for your gifts and this beautiful life force that's flowing through you in a very unique way, and allowing yourself to receive it, knowing that the more you receive, the more you now can flow out into the universe. People receive more because there is more of what you are bringing out into the world. And this keeps circulating, fulfilling on the only desire of the world, of the life force and spirit, which is the expression of more and more and more of who we are.
Beautiful. Love it. So this is a great time, if you have questions for Anna, to post them in the Q&A, post them in the comments. We will come back to them. So I love how you took us through really connecting with our divinity.
Mm-hmm.
That was really beautiful. What would you say to anyone who feels disconnected, from their divinity? They're so caught up in the wounding or in their head that they really find it challenging to connect with their soul.
Wow. This is self-serving, and I'm going to say it because that's why we're here. Find somebody who can support you with that. Find somebody who can remind you. I mean, that one session, and I worked with the woman who did my hand analysis for 3 years. But in that moment when she reminded me who I was, all of a sudden a flood opened. Somebody saw me. And in that moment, I could begin to own who I am, thus connect with something bigger than just this physical expression of who I was, right? Mm-hmm. And then all the wounding and everything, I mean, right now, I'm actually training to be a transformational trainer. So I'm on a journey of learning how all the wounds serve us and all of at a much bigger level than I ever understood, right? I'm seeing everything as, okay, it truly is a gift, right? I would say find somebody really, because that's what worked for me. Every single time I forget, and I still forget, and I think it's part of a human journey that we do forget, so we can remind. And it's never permanent. I could forget maybe for a moment. Maybe somebody says something and it triggers, the little girl in me. Didn't believe that she's anything special. I was afraid to hurt people's feelings. I was afraid to say something that somebody would be offended about, right? That little girl still gets hurt when somebody sends me a nasty email. And that's why I have support system around me to remind me, okay, that's just somebody's wounding that got triggered. Yeah, you can look at it and say, When you said what you said, where did it come from? Did it come from love? Absolutely. Okay, great. Then remember who you are. So find somebody who can remind you and connect you with that. And there are so many tools. You can meditate, there are so many tools. But for me, hearing these things about myself that I knew were my soul expressed, it literally activated it in me. I'm like, oh, that's why I used to say these things. Got it. That's why people would look at me and spew things about themselves. So I used to be in real estate, and I would sit across the table and deal with real estate for 5 minutes, and for 2 hours I would solve people problems. And this was way before I knew what coaching was. I'm like, well, now I understand why. Right? Because I'm a coach, and I'm a mentor, and I'm a healer, and I'm a guy. Got it. And I can see things, right? All of us can, because we have those gifts and skills. I get it. But find somebody who can activate that. I think it's really important, especially because we are being polluted by so much.
Absolutely. And like everyone on this panel, I would not be without a coach. I'm always.
Yeah.
And it's not about getting fixed. It's about someone who can see your blocks, someone who can see your stories, right? Because they're automatic for us. It's very easy to fall into our old stories, and we don't see it. If we have someone outside of us going, oh, hey, Michelle, and you're like, oh yeah, I did that again. I can't believe I did that again. Wow. It is human nature. Mm-hmm. It is absolutely human nature.
Yeah.
So there is a question. How do you select someone to help you work through healing wounds?
Trust. I'm going to add this too. Because we are all on a unique journey, do not expect a coach or a mentor to fix it all for you. It's great when we meet the right person at the right time that tips us over onto the perfect place, and we're like, oh my God, look what this coach just did for me. And yes, absolutely, that could have happened. But I know on my journey, there were many coaches along the way that only now can I see that the coach I hired 10 years ago was teaching me something I couldn't grasp at a time. I had to hear then, but I couldn't, I heard it, but I didn't let it in. I was not ready to be the person that I needed to be to create a thing I really wanted. So I hear her voice in my head, right? From a decade ago. I worked with her for 2 years. I hear her from a decade ago, and it's now finally sinking in. So trust yourself. And I'm grateful that I did invest at a time, and I'm grateful that I trusted, even though when we were parting ways, I'm like, well, I don't know how much it really served me. I was really that person. I'm like, I don't know how much it served me. Well, thankfully, I can look back and say it served me a lot, but I had to become who I am right now, move through the blocks that I did up until now, be willing to commit and take risks, be willing to be honest with myself. And now everything that the coach was teaching me was there, and now it's popping in little by little. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. So every single person that comes on your path, whether it's for a week, 6 months, right? 6 weeks, where Michelle just spoke to, 2 or 3 years, everybody is really meant to be part of the journey, even if in the moment it doesn't look like it.
So I want to, we're going to go into sharing your free gifts. And then before we close, I will take everyone through a process too. But first, everyone, we'll start with Anna. Anna, share what you think the number one thing is for everyone to know to create an extraordinary life. I mean, number one, I know, right? And then you can go into talking about your free gift, and Tori will put the link in the comments, but don't worry, you will receive the replay with all of the links and the gifts. So if you don't know how to copy and paste it from the comments, don't worry, we got you covered. We're going to make sure you get everything. We want you to have it all. So go ahead, Anna. What's the number one thing, and what's your free gift?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to sneak in 2. I'm going to put it into 1.
I know.
So I'm going to actually, you said, does anybody have anything to add to that? And this is what I want to add about charging and holding people in light of being able to. When somebody is asking you to invest in yourself or the work you're doing or whatever it is, and they are quoting you something that you are like, oh my God, do you not know what my bank account looks like? They are actually holding you as somebody who is at a much higher frequency than you allow yourself to be. It's a gift because somebody is seeing you as capable, as somebody who, and I don't like to use this word, but deserves to have what you want, because deservability is a funny little word, but let's just play with it for a bit. So that's exactly what it is about extraordinary life. Find people around you. If you can't believe that you can have extraordinary life, 5 people around you who will be an example of it, and then believe that you can create it and guide you in you creating whatever extraordinary looks like. But have people who believe in that for you if you can't believe it yourself. Now, my gift.
Yes, great.
Okay. It's how to awaken your sacred success, which is to birth your soul level body of work in alignment with your purpose and prosperity, even if you don't know your purpose yet. So guess what it is? It's the 5 steps that I used when I learned that I can't manifest money. I opened a closet and there it is. And I didn't want to do what I was not wanting to do anymore. But there was some other way to be in the world, and it started with me. So it's the 5 steps that I used, which is who am I? What did I come here to learn, which is then the medicine I came here to teach? How do I know who the people I came here to service? And then healing the relationship with money to close the loop so I can receive, so I can come back and be bigger and bigger. So that's my gift, my 5 steps to how I got there, so you can do it too.
Oh, I love that. I love that it's 5 steps and you just follow them, right?
Yeah. And it's not a formula. So let me just be clear. It's not a formula. These are steps, because every single one of us has purpose, a lesson. We are here to serve, and we're here to receive. So it's really just these steps, but how I go about them. And I do reference hand analysis, and I do reference how you can discover it on your own if you choose not to have the tools. But yeah, it's the steps that anyone really can take and then do it in their own way to create their extraordinary life. And service to me is a part of it. Mm-hmm.
And Tori, if you can add the links for everyone's free gifts. There we go. There they are. And just as we said, these will come in the replay email as well. I do have a free gift as well. It is a 3-day training, Extraordinary Living, Trust Your Soul, and Live Your Dreams. And I'm going to take you through 3 days, 3 separate hours, and 3 pillars of really living your extraordinary life. Trusting your intuition, acting on that intuition, letting go of programming, I talk about them as matrix programs. And so that your links are there, they'll come to you in the email as well. We want you to gather up these free gifts. I want you to learn more about Anna, Kimberly, and Michelle as well. These are women living extraordinary lives, walking their talk, overcoming the extraordinary challenges that show up when we go, I refuse to live ordinary anymore. And, I stand behind everything they teach and everything they do. And so thank you all for being here.